All right, 210. Hey guys, it's Natasha with Nothing New T10 Podcast. Thank you to VodPod Media for housing and producing, and to Latina Podcast Network for having you on your network. Guys, if you're watching, go listen. If you're listening, go watch. Either way, like, subscribe, share, do all the things. I appreciate it. Either way, you're gonna want to see who I have, and I always say it, but it's true. I just have like the most beautiful people in San Antonio, like on my podcast. So, please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Rueben Hernandez Valdez. You may know me as the dancing realtor, but I am the team leader of the art group here in San Antonio. I'm from San Antonio, born and raised. How did we meet, by the way? Through David.
Yeah.
Riverwalk,
Yeah, right?
right?
I feel like we met before that.
Maybe like in passing, but we never
Yeah.
got to speak. But
True.
I don't want to go through my whole resume, but I was also
Do
former
it.
Riverwalk royalty. I'm just kidding.
Yes.
Real estate is what I do. It's kind of engulfed who I am at this point. I'm kind of in this new era, which I'm sure we'll talk about, but I'm in this new era of, of speaking and using my voice and making change. But yeah, other than that, if you follow me on social media, you know that it's mostly real estate. But I like to use real estate as a vessel to just inspire, similar to you, like inspire in ways, not so much to content create, which comes along with the territory, but more so just to ignite some type of inspiration or change, and whether that be to buy a house or make a change in your life.
Yeah.
But so be it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So like what made you get into, because like you said, like social media is just part of like having a business to
Right.
begin with, right? So how do you feel like that transition was from like, oh shit, like I really have to focus on social media? And then what's it like being a content creator in that aspect? Because I know like food and events, right?
Lifestyle.
But this is very different.
Yeah. So I got my license at the end of 2019, early 2020. So the pandemic hit in March. And so right when I became active and it was like, okay, your license is active, I want to say about 2 weeks later, the world shut down.
Wow.
So I got catapulted in, well, you have no choice. Social media not only was a part of the business, it was the business, because there was no one I could speak to. I was out showing houses virtually. I was just trying to figure out how to change people's minds, because for so long I had done event planning, and I was the director of marketing for a all-star competitive cheerleading facility for 3 years. And then I was always coaching before that. So everyone saw me as the cheer guy. So I really had to double down on changing people's perspective of who Rueben was as this cheer coach, to now make them believe or understand this new route of career that I had taken.
Right.
So that was my sole focus. And it was just the only way I knew how to do it was consistency. Like, I promise, I feel like it was 3 or 4 times a day. I was on my stories. I was on live. I was making graphics. This is before Canva got to what it is now, so they weren't as great. But that's really what it was. And then something hit. Something stuck. I don't know what it was. I couldn't tell you what it was. I think it was what I see you do all the time, is the authenticity of it all. And I think that was, we got it. And I say we, you and I, because I feel like you do this so well. And not to crap on anyone that does it now, but there was a small gap, right? Well, you're gonna see where I'm going though.
Okay.
There was a small gap of time where authenticity was the only choice. We created our own niches, we created our own things, right? Our little isms. We fulfilled those spaces so quickly that now we're in the area or the time period of people trying to replicate those niches and be for me, it was like I was the dancing realtor, where all of a sudden that was my thing. And now all of a sudden everyone's trying to have a thing. But it wasn't that it was my thing. It was just that I connected with that and it was fun for me.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to say, okay, well, what's my thing going to be? Now that's the thing, right? And I'm using, how many times am I going to say the word thing, right?
Yeah.
But it's true. And I see that in all industries. Like with real estate, you have people that are now doing, I'm sure you've seen it, like the quick tours, like the run-through tours. And then you have people that are cussing on camera, which no crap to any of those people. But it's kind of like they ask me all the time, well, like, I need to find my thing. And it's like, no, you don't. It'll come. You'll fall into your thing and whatever you're known for. But so anyway, with all that being said, I just kind of got thrown in. But my degree's in PR and marketing. So my brain thinks like that first. I don't think like a realtor first. You know what I mean?
Which is actually really beneficial.
Correct. Yeah. And I noticed that years in, I'm like, oh, everyone always asks me like, how did you evolve, and how did you create success in real estate so quick? and then it hit me maybe a year ago. I was like, oh, because majority of the real estate agents are thinking of how do I get a new client, or they're thinking in the real estate brain, or they have that real estate hat on, and I'm thinking of campaigns and rolling things out and figuring out how to plan so that, everything is cohesive and makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, and I have the same thing, but from like the journalism
Yeah.
side, because that's how I started.
Mm-hmm.
But I tell people I don't have a degree in journalism.
Okay.
I never went to school for it. I call myself like a street journalist, and that's if I have to like label that.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I got picked up with a newspaper that they said you're a journalist.
Oh, how cool.
And I was like, I mean, cool. But I've also been in rooms with journalists.
Yeah, and you're like, I'm not them.
I'm very quick to say, look, I am not you. I did not go to school. Kudos to you.
Yeah.
It's just I like to talk.
But sometimes it's innate. Like if it's innate in you, like I'm sorry to cut you off, but I tell people all the time, like if you don't, this is so horrible, but if you don't got it, you don't got it. And that's just not your path. Mm-hmm. And far too many times in your realm too, like you see people start podcasts, you see people have a personality, you have people that are influencers like you. And it's like, they're just kind of trying to fill a mold. Mm-hmm. Whereas for you, you're like, give me the mic and I'm me. And it just works.
Yeah.
And that's not for people. So like, I think people need to realize that as well. Like, it's like I don't know if you do, but I don't sing. Even though I love to sing in the shower,
Same.
I know that it's not innate in me, and I just gotta. It's the same thing, but people don't. It's weird, yeah.
Yeah, no, but yeah, like, and people are like, oh, you're just so good at this. Or like, you make me feel so calm or whatever. And I'm like, well, we're just having conversation.
Yeah.
That's all that it is, right? So I don't have that mentality. Just like you're not realtor focused, I'm not journalism. Like journalism or journalist focused, right? Because that's not who I am. Mm-hmm. And like, yes, it's who you are now, but it's not where you started. Yeah. And so for me, like, and I tell people, I joke, like I used to get in trouble for talking, and like now I get paid for it. Yeah. And so that's a difference. Yeah. Because I really just like shooting the shit and getting to know people. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I think that's where you and I like definitely like click.
Yeah. Because it's true.
Yeah.
And
we're like,
but you can feel it immediately. Yeah. Like when someone's just like, I mean, I've been on podcasts before, like the camera's not rolling. We're just kind of quiet. It doesn't like, there's no chemistry. And then it's like, all of a sudden the camera turns on and there's obviously they have their notes and they're looking at their iPad, and because they have their, research on me or whoever. Right. Yeah. More often than not, their podcasts they're not successful in other realms of that industry. You know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, I think one thing that people miss. Welcome to our TED Talk of what you're doing wrong. No, but one thing that people miss, I think these days, is like, why? Why are you doing it? What is your motivation? Are you doing it just because you're trying to be famous? Well, then, okay, that's a whole nother conversation, right? But if you're doing it from the bottom of your heart, in your shoes, it's like you're trying to uncover and get to know different human beings in San Antonio and what makes our culture, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think that until you have a why, you're just kind of floating around. Same in real estate, same in anything, right? And I just feel like I'm in this new era of my life, and I just entered it maybe about 3 or 4 months ago. Yeah. And I realized that I'm in this new era of like, I don't care about what people think about me. I've always said that, right? I've always said that. Yeah. But truly, like, my reputation, and I feel like you probably have felt this, my reputation in the real estate industry, at least, or, from the outside looking in as a non-realtor, people are like, oh my God, Rueben, so he's always on it. He's always so fun. He's always so positive, which I am. Mm-hmm. However, I didn't realize the burden that comes with that of not saying things when you don't want to be controversial. You can't be, because everyone sees you as the happy-go-lucky Rueben. Yeah. And I went through which I'm sure you saw on social media. I publicly removed myself from an organization that I was a part of in real estate, and it's a very well-known organization. And because there was bad things happening within the organization that I could not align with, and usually Rueben Realtor, that was just like, the fun, exciting one, would have kept his mouth shut because he didn't want to be argumentative, or he didn't want to stir any pots, because, you have this facade that people see. Yeah. And then I realized like there was a lot of wrongdoing and a lot of things that I didn't agree with. And so I was like, it's now or never. Like, I either have to talk about it and literally that's why I was so public about it and posting it on social media, more for the real estate industry, probably paid attention to it more. But for me, it was like, if I don't do it now, I'm always going to be in this space of Rueben Realtor, who is just like always so happy, which I am. And that's what my personality is. But at what point are you honest and now start to use your voice similar to you to make change and talk and stand up for what's right and what's wrong, and not be afraid to talk about politics, not be afraid to talk about, any issue that is,
Like
considered taboo,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so that's where now I'm like, you know what? I don't care. I don't care if I'm still going to be me,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to get pushed into a box to be this positive, role model of how you should look and be on socials or in real life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I've struggled with that specifically, because me being who I am, I don't give a shit. This
Yeah.
is who I am. And I know who I am. I know my worth. I know all of
Yeah.
that. Right. But it's hard, like you said, when you have this, or people have this overarching perception of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, great. Right. Thank you so much. Like, same, right? Like, oh, you're so sweet. You're so positive. You're so
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah. I have always been known as like just not talking shit about people,
Yeah.
because I don't.
Yeah.
But I'm at the point that like I'm going to tell you the truth,
Right.
and that's not me talking shit.
Right.
That's the truth. That's an actual incident or an actual issue. And not to shit on anybody, I will never shit on anybody. Like, I will never stop anybody's bag. Get your bag, right?
Yep.
But like, for instance, if somebody's bad business, I'm going to say, look, I've had this experience. This is my story. Do with that what you will.
Right.
Where before I would have been like, oh, okay, cool.
They're cool. Yeah.
I'm not doing that anymore.
But I think too is that, to your point, it's immediately labeled as, oh, in professional world, oh, well, they're professional, or they're bad mouthing another person, or whatever the case may be. And it's like, well, no, I'm not bad mouth. There's a difference.
Right.
I think bad mouthing is when you intentionally make up something to tarnish or take away from them. The opposite of that is to what you just said is, the truth is the truth. It may be my truth. It may be your truth. I may have perceived it a certain way, and I could be wrong, right? There could be other layers of the situation, but we also trust our intuition. You know what I mean? And so it's true. It's a fine line, especially you as a woman. I can only imagine, because me, I kind of have. I'm not. It's obvious. I can pass into certain segues and have that privilege, if you will, of being a male. Number one, I don't look Latino, even though I am. I'm half. My dad is Hispanic, but nonetheless, like, I feel like sometimes I forget that I have some privilege, right? Whereas for you, a woman already, Latina woman, those two in these, even though we're in 2024, right? It's very obvious in the climate that we're in right now that is still an issue. So those already at the base are not easy to overcome in times when you have to tell your truth, because you're already kind of diminished, because either what you're saying is a lie, or what you're saying isn't held to the same standard as a white man or a man, or whatever the case, right? Or even the caliber of your business. Maybe there's someone that's, the tenure in the industry. So I think there's still work to be done, but that new era that I'm in of, I don't want to say I don't care, because I do.
Sure.
It's just I'm not going to tiptoe around certain things anymore, because I'm afraid of the repercussions. If there's a repercussion, I'll deal with it when it comes. But as long as I'm saying my truth and what is the truth for many of my interactions, or whatever the case may be, there's nothing anyone can say or do or come after. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I've dealt with that already. I mean, obviously, like, and I know, like, I'm not stupid. I know what I put out, right? I'm cognizant, and I do think about things, my captions, my whatever, photos, videos, whatever. Again, the perception of who I am. However, I've had people like, oh, well, yeah, you're like, you're like sexy or whatever. Like, okay, cool, thank you. However, that's not all I am.
Yep.
And it's okay, because they're like, well, no, this is your thing. Like, you can post that because that's your thing. No. My thing is everything.
Yep.
And so I struggled. So I was in school, and I finished like a year ago, right? And somebody who has been in the industry or in my career field for a very long time told me, you have to stop doing what you're doing. You have to choose. Either you're going to do your career, like as a mental health practitioner, or you're going to do social media. And immediately it felt wrong to me, because why?
Yeah, you don't get to dictate what I do. Yeah.
Why? But why does society get to choose for me? Why does society and the societal norms get to say, like, you can't be all of those things?
Right.
Yes, the fuck I can.
Right.
And I am.
Right.
And I will. And if that means me paving the way, or me not getting certain positions or whatever, I'm not doing anything illegal. I'm not hurting anybody. You know what I mean? Like, let me live my life.
Mm-hmm.
And if I want to pivot, I will pivot at that said time. Until then, this is who I am. I am smart. I am a mom. I am, sexy. I
Yeah.
am, very much like Latina, and I'm
Yeah.
proud of that. But I cook, I clean, I do all the, like, I'm like tirao at home. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, okay, kids, blah, blah, blah. And then when I'm out, I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
But I've also gotten shit for like, oh, like, you're not with your kids right now, like, or like, oh, is your husband okay with that, or oh, what, like, why do you care?
Oh, that takes me to something that I use this in a good way and in a bad way.
Yeah.
It's never a bad way. It can be taken as a bad way, but perception is reality. So I understand where people, and I don't understand for them telling you that, but I understand. Unfortunately, people don't understand that, and I'm going to call them normal people, because people that don't think the way we think. Because social media, you're going to see what I want you to see.
Yeah.
And if I block you, you ain't going to see nothing, right? But people are going to see what we want them to see. And I teach this in a branding class that I teach to realtors. It's perception is reality. When I started in real estate, to our point earlier, there were times I was in a house, showing number 1, showing number 2. I had 0 clients. I won the current best realtor that very first year. I had 2 closings that year.
Yeah.
It was my very first year. And I won because, again, it was a popularity contest, right? But perception is reality. And people thought a certain way because I made them believe that, right? So to your point, you have a business and you have a brand to uphold. You're not gonna, maybe part of that brand is not, you're not your branding is not a stay-at-home mom but there is that lane. You're not in that lane, so you don't feel the need. You're more private in that end, and people don't realize that.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you're right. Where's the proof that I wasn't with my kids today?
Exactly.
Right, to that point, because perception is reality to these people, which again can work in our favor or against. I think that I'm okay with people thinking that. Like David and I, my husband, people always tell us, "Oh my God, you guys are always out. You guys, oh my gosh, y'all don't slow down." Many of our friends, many of our family, they say it in a nice way. Sometimes it's taken a little bit in a mean way of like passive aggressive, right? Like, oh, well, y'all just don't slow down. Well, you think that, but more often than not, Friday and Saturday night, we're sitting on our couch ordering Chili's, watching a Tejano countdown. Or sitting out on our back patio, or we're really not out.
Yeah.
And so, but again, because they see diabetes is drag, which I'm sure we'll talk about later, or they see behind the scenes of podcasts, they see all these things, and it's like, well, yeah, because we want you to see that, you know?
Exactly. And I'm home more often than not.
Correct.
Lately, like the past 2 months, I'm home. Like, I'm chilling on the couch. I'm like, where's your backpack? Where's your homework? Blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm mom, but that is the most private part of my life. Like, you're not going to know who I'm with, if I'm with somebody, where my kids are, how many kids I have. You're not going to know how old they are, their names. Shut up.
I didn't even know you had kids. Remember, I was like, you have a kid?
Yeah,
remember when I took
like,
when I took your shirt, I was like, how many kids you have?
Yeah. Because I'm such a mama bear. Like, do not fuck with that part of my life. And so my way of saving them is like, also, like, they didn't ask to be on social media.
Right.
They're young-ish. And so if they want to have a social media at some point and they're old enough, go ahead.
Yeah.
But there's pedophiles. There's people that are going to judge me, people are judging me no matter what.
Right.
So, okay, well, these are my kids. And you're right. My kids are with me more often than not. And so, but again, it's perception. And I tell people all the time, social media is fake. I'm not fake.
Right.
But you're going to see what I want you to see.
It's a tool.
Yeah, it literally is. Like, I'll be very, very candid. Like, the past 2 months have been like the hardest 2 months of like my life. And I've been at home crying more often than not.
Right. But people don't see that.
Do you see that? No. Do I post that? No. Do people want to see it? Probably not.
No.
So guess what? You're going to see the, hi, oh yay, we're at lunch, like cheers, whatever. Or like, and you see it as like me being out and like living my best life. And so when people ask me like, how are you? I'm like, I'm alive.
And it's funny, and on that note, it's like, this is a whole nother probably subject, but it's also like sometimes on that note, we compartmentalize, which is not healthy. I understand that, but we do because it's just in our being. Yeah. You can ask my husband, you can ask anyone in my circle. I'm that person. I've taken that role of like, I can do everything by myself. No one needs to worry about me.
Yes.
Ask my husband. If I come home and he's like, you need help with the groceries? I'm always going to tell him no. Even though I might need it, because in my head, I'm like, no, I got all these 50 bags. but not because
Wow.
not because he doesn't want to help. It's just
Sure.
it's just innate in who I am.
Yes.
And so I think people don't realize that there are going to be times when I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to do any. I need a break. I don't want to talk about anything. Your friends probably realize there's certain times where and you're like, yeah, this is too long. I don't even want to get into it because your brain is scrambled eggs.
Yes.
Again, that's why there's therapy. That's where there's other things to kind of help with. But to that point, it's like people see these personalities. I mean, I say these personalities, it's who we are. But when we're in front of a camera, we're on social media, it is amplified a little bit because it's a tool. The same way that Kim Kardashian doesn't come out without her makeup on because that is a tool to promote her business, right? Because who she is, it's her business. Same with McDonald's, same with Nike, same with Apple, Beyonce. There's so many different brands out there that they're not going to put something out that isn't amplified, right? And so I think when people switch their mentality to understanding, if you know me and you're my inner circle, you know the real Ruben, you know the real Natasha. Anybody else doesn't, they're not privileged enough to see that. And yeah, sometimes I'm on my couch talking shit about celebrities or maybe someone that I don't really care for in my industry, but guess what? That's for my close knit people.
Right.
And guess what? I know y'all all want to be a part of that circle, but you just don't.
Right.
And I think that there's that misunderstanding of people think because we share so much that they are a part of that inner circle. And I'm like, if you were a part of my inner circle, chances are maybe you don't fuck with me because we believe different things or we disagree or whatever. But I just wish more people thought like us, but that's the more reason for us to continue to do what we do. So people can start to hopefully by 2050 start to understand what this is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I've had so many private conversations with people who have huge followings who are like, same thing, right?
Yeah.
It looks like they're just like, they're eating, they're drinking, they're
Yep.
out, they're blah, blah, blah. When I reach out to them or they reach out to me, like they're in some of the toughest places of their lives. And I'm like, let's talk about it. I will never repeat what they say when I see them out in public at an event. Hey girl, how are you?
Yeah.
Or hey, what's up? Like I don't need to be like, because then that allows other people, because people are always watching and listening. And so that allows other people to be like, wait, what's going on?
Yep.
No. What happened in our DMs or in a phone conversation or whatever, that's us.
Which is also scary though, right? Because I feel like not everyone thinks like that. Not everyone is like us. And I say us because I agree with what you're saying. It's scary because, and I've had it in times in my industry where I say something in confidence, right? Because people are people. And all of a sudden it's rearing its ugly head and it's like, whoa. Is this the Big Brother house? Like I didn't say it like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm curious to know not me taking over your podcast, but I'm curious to know from your end, this realm of being an influencer and lifestyle and like culture. What is a struggle that you have? Like, I'm sure there are a lot of I'm going to air quote influencers, but not as many that are as successful as you. But so the people that are at your caliber, I would say, right? I'm sure there's a community of you guys. And the only reason I'm asking is because in my industry, it is dog eat dog. Everyone likes to talk about how there's enough business to go around. That is bullshit. Everyone's out to get each other.
Yeah.
Selling sunset is very much so the truth as far as the
like cattiness.
the cattiness or like just the fight for a client. That is true. All the other stuff on TV is not. But that feeling, that culture is real. So for you, is that culture the same? Do you see other, I'd say, influencers kind of combating, or do you guys kind of collaborate more often than not? Or is it a little bit of both?
It's a little bit of both. I realize really quickly it's who you know.
Oh, for sure. Okay.
Which that's life, right?
Yeah.
But same thing, like I would sit and be like, and I'm not a hater, never have been, never will be. But like there are people that I used to see that had like 100 followers, but they were at like every event, and I'm like, how?
Yeah.
Or it didn't fit their niche, and I was like, why? And it was just a question because I do everything and because I want to do everything, not because I'm trying to, whatever. But then realizing pretty quickly, some of the people that have been, I call them OGs, some of them are very welcoming and like, why are you not coming to stuff? How are you not getting invited to stuff?
Let me get you on the list or whatever.
Like, I'll put you on or I'll introduce you to whatever. And those people I appreciate. But then you also have people that are like,
like, how did she get here? Yeah.
And I still don't get invited to every event, and it is what it is.
Yeah,
Like
you're not hurt.
I'm not losing sleep over it. The stuff I do get invited to, I'm thankful
Yeah.
for. But I've seen that too, where they're like, oh my God, this is like another thing. I have to go get like a swag bag, and I have to go like post about getting free drinks and food. And I'm like, what? Like,
Yeah.
I love
But
that.
that's also like, I feel like that's a defense mechanism because they're trying to be like, oh, I'm above that. Like, this is just so
No.
normal. It's like, it don't, for us, people like us, I don't know, where did you grow up?
Here.
But like, what high school did you go to?
Okay. So I went to Lee,
Okay.
but I grew
Your
up
whole high school, all
high
years.
school,
I don't
yeah.
know why I thought you went to like Marshall or one of those. I don't know why. Okay.
So I spent my childhood on the east side.
Okay.
Because both of my grandparents like lived there. And my mom was Army, and that's a whole other thing. So she was gone a lot. So I was with my grandparents. But school, yes, I went to school on the north side.
Oh, okay, cool.
And I got shit about that too. Oh,
Well,
you're bougie.
Oh yeah, you're like, if you only knew. Well, for me, and that's something that the reason I asked that is because like we didn't grow up like that, like getting freak shit and going to these galas and getting a award or whatever, right? Like all these lavish
Never.
things. I
Yeah.
say lavish like very loosely, but these lavish things that we get to experience, we worked for. Like I'm sure you talked about this on your podcast before, but with other people, but I think David might have mentioned this on his episode, but it is my biggest pet peeve when people tell me it must be nice.
Oh,
I've learned to just respond and I'm like, it is so
hate
nice.
that.
I'm like, it's actually so nice. It's
actually
amazing.
amazing.
Or
Yeah,
like
it's the
when people are like, oh my God, it must be nice. Like we went to Cancun recently and I was like, yeah. And I was sitting on the beach on my phone negotiating, not even enjoying. Had to get out of the pool party to hide under a palm tree, which sounds great. Not really, because I'm sweating my ass off trying to negotiate a deal. So yes, great. Yes, must be nice. It is nice. But I also never stop working. You know what I mean? So it's
Same.
like, we'll trade shoes any day. You
Yeah.
will not last. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that's my biggest pet peeve because I'm like, it is so nice that I worked my ass off. You know what I mean?
I literally hate that. And like, I feel like I love your answer, and I'm going to start doing that because like, I don't know, like the people that know me are like, you're so humble. And I'm like, well, cause why wouldn't you be?
Yeah.
Why would any of us be like, oh yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I didn't grow up like that.
Uh-huh.
Like just because I grew up on the north side doesn't mean that whatever. Went to school on the north side doesn't mean shit.
Yeah.
Like if people knew I grew up with a single mom who was literally like, no, I'm not getting you shit.
Yeah.
Like we don't have money for that.
Yeah. You had to
Like,
wear the
whatever.
clothes from the year before or whatever.
Literally,
Yeah.
I got one pair of shoes a year
Yep.
that I just wore out. You know what I mean? So when people are like, "Oh, must be nice," like every door that's open for me, every room that I'm in is because I worked my ass off, and I'm
Amen.
still working my ass off.
And you're not gonna stop. That's the other thing
No.
too. Is to that point, people get what's the word, stagnant, and they get left behind. But that was a choice that they decided to make. Like there's certain people that are like, oh, like when are y'all gonna slow down? I'm like, till when I die, maybe.
Yeah, till the wheels fall off.
I'm not slow but again, there's nothing wrong with slowing down. There are some people that I know they're like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna get a 9-to-5 job at XYZ and that's totally fine. And no offense to anyone that does that. I just could, for me as in who I am, I think about it sometimes. I'm like, I can't imagine not because what fuels me is what's gonna happen, what's coming. What I don't know is coming one day. There may not if there's nothing coming in my journey of life that's going to be along the lines of what my dreams are. If it never comes, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'll never know because I'll die before I know that it's not. You know what I mean? But it's like as long as there's some type of hope, I'm gonna continue to go. Like a joke that David always tells me, he's like, because I always say like, I cannot wait to be famous. I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna be famous for.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm gonna be known for when I'm older, but I'm going to be somehow, some way. And he's always like, oh, why do you want that? Like, I'm like, give me everything. Me and my friend Destiny always joke like, I want to go to HEB and not be able to even walk in because everyone just comes up to me.
Yeah.
But more so because like, I think because once I know that I have that influence, then it's over.
Yeah.
Because influence, your likeness is what's going to help create change. And I know that sounds such like a hallmark thing, right? Like, of course we like the lavish things and all the things that come with that. But when you truly, from your core, like I'm not a fan of her, like Taylor Swift. I'm not that I don't like her. I respect her, all the things that she's done. I'm just not a fan of the music, right? The
Same.
newer music. I like old school Taylor, like 1989, like those days.
Yeah.
But But I like that, like that platform. It's like, okay, Beyonce, they know what they are sitting on and they do what they got to do. Yeah, they live the lavish life and they benefit from it in many different sectors. But why not like reach for that? Why not want to be known when you die for the next generation to look up at you like they look up to Cesar Chavez, Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks? Those are big idols, right? Those are big shoes to fill. But just to give an idea to the viewers and listeners, like those are the things that fuel me. I'm like, God, one day, like when I die, a building better be named after me because I was able to create some type of change. You know what I mean?
Legacy, yeah. And that's the thing too. Like I started with just the intention of just truly sharing local businesses and local people's stories because I'm such a proponent of like everybody has a story.
Yep.
Everybody comes from somewhere. Who are you? And like the news, and I'll say it and I don't care. They don't do people justice.
Oh, absolutely not.
It's 5 seconds of whatever they said. And I've been on the news too. I've been on the other side
Yeah.
of it where I prepare all day or whatever. And then I'm there and then I like say what I need to say. And they're like, cool. Anyway, thank you. And then it's literally 5-10 seconds of what I said.
Mm-hmm.
So not that it's not like I appreciate the opportunity, right?
Yeah.
But
we understand that business is a business in itself.
correct,
Yeah.
correct. And so I wanted to like flip that on its head and
Be raw.
right. Like, who are you? And
Mhm.
that's why I segued into this podcast because 5-10 minutes is too long for social media. And it wasn't when I started,
Mhm.
but now I'm like, okay, well, I want to like really sit down.
Mhm.
Literally, let's sit on a couch and let's
Yeah.
talk
Yep.
for an hour. And so, if somebody's really interested to know who you are and not just business,
Yeah.
right? Who are you? Like,
Yeah.
and I tell people, like, even with like the Foodie Fridays, like, what sets you apart? Because if I go to like a taco place, anybody can make a taco. I can
Mhm.
make a taco at home,
Right.
and I don't mean that to like sound rude. What sets you apart? Why should people come and support you?
Mhm.
And it might be some cool drink that you have, whatever, but who are you?
Yeah, going back to like the branding and like who we are and how it starts, it's like why do we choose anything that we do? Like any industry, it's like I'm in real estate, I have to work alongside lenders, like loan officers. And there's a dime a dozen, right? Just the way that there are realtors. And it's like when I hear the stories of the lenders and the loan officers, I'm like, oh, I fuck with you.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. You're doing it for the same reason. You've come from the same spot. Then we're going to work well together.
Yeah.
Same reason why I would go to Rolando's taco shop over Taco Bell or whatever, right? Like,
Yeah.
Besides the authenticity. But the foundations and what drives those businesses and those people is why I do business with them and why I want to give them my business, you know?
Yeah.
Do you, being in this space, I guess what would be the next step for you? Like, what is your next goal as far as, obviously your podcast is doing well, but is there something that is a step above that you're like, okay, once I get to this level, I'm going to take my podcast to XYZ? Or is there an end goal when it comes to this space?
Yeah. So somebody actually asked me that kind of, and I don't have one.
Okay.
And I feel like that's okay.
That's good. Yeah.
Because I'm very open to whatever happens,
Yep.
happens. All I know is I'm going to work and my producer's going to work and I'm going to have people like you that are on and I know that I've had amazing guests.
Yep.
And I'm fully confident in that.
Yeah, you've.
And so I don't have an end goal for this other than just for people like you to be seen and heard because that's why I do it. I could sit here by myself and talk about myself, but for what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's truly to highlight people in the community like you.
That's cool.
And so that's my overarching goal is really just to get people to know people in the community.
Yeah.
In
That's
our society
really cool.
and support, you know? Yeah, that's it. I mean, like, would I love it to take off? Of course.
Yeah, everyone
but
would.
not for me.
Yeah.
For my guests.
Yeah.
And that's just how I've always been with
That's
it.
cool.
So
That's cool. I think that going back to what I was saying about this new era, I'm calling it, I don't even know what to call it, but this new space that I feel like I'm finding myself in is like, now I'm gonna do things for me. Like, and because you mentioned it, like you're like, oh, not for me, but like, and I'm not to be a Dr. Phil over here, but like, it should also be for you too. Because again, politically correct, right? Like society tells us like, yeah, like in order to be successful, you need to have a giving heart, which you clearly do, as do I, as do many other people. But like, there's some power in saying like, which I think that, and again, I don't want to step on your toes and make you think that, what you said is wrong or whatever, but it's like, you should be able to be like, yeah. And one day, like, I want to be I want to be I want to be known for XYZ. Like, it's okay to be that person because I'm the same way. Like, I'm like, oh, well, which I do. I like helping people out the real estate market. I love doing what I do clearly, right? Like, I wouldn't do it if I didn't. Um, but like, there's something to be said of saying like, yeah, one day I want to be known. I want people to look to me as XYZ, right? I want people to look to Natasha as the one that started XYZ. I want people to look to me to be like, damn, I want to be on her podcast, which already people do. Clearly, you and I touch base, right? But the reason I bring that part up is because, in my industry, there are many individuals, but there's a lot of individuals who have gotten to a caliber and they mask it, meaning they are these top producers making change in the community, but they mask it with this what would I call it, like this facade of like, nah, yeah, like I'm just good at what I do. Like, it's like, no, like, I don't know if it's it's a fear. I don't know if it's a fear of people bringing their guard down of saying like, yeah, like, look at all the amazing things I've done. You know what I mean? Because, and the reason I bring that up is because when I was younger, when I close, and I have this thing that I do, and I've talked about it before, but little Rueben didn't have any of that. There was no one that said like, yeah, this is who I was. These are all the things that I did, and this is where I'm at, and this is where I'm going. It was always be humble. And you don't talk about that. It's like, no, say it, because if not, people aren't going to know. So similar to what you were saying, it's just that I wish more people would be in that space and in that maybe headspace of saying like, yeah, damn right, I did that. Like, and not appearing, because you touched on it earlier, and not looking like you're not humble, because you can be humble in your heart. You know what I mean? No one needs to know who you are at your core, because that's you, But I think in our society now, it's like, the more people we can have like you that are saying like, yeah, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this, and I'm this, and that's okay. But no one's doing that. You know what I mean? Everyone's just kind of like, to my point earlier, when I left that organization, it was kind of like, before I would have been like, oh yeah, I'm just a part of this little organization and I'm just not going to come back next year. Like, no, I put my foot down and said, I'm leaving in the middle of this year because you guys are shit. You know what I mean? And I can't be a part of that.
Yeah.
And that, for me, little things like that are what stand out more than just kind of going with the flow. And you know what I mean?
Yeah. So to touch on that, like, I am confident as a person.
Yeah.
And I'm aware of all the things I've accomplished. However, I have imposter syndrome, and
Same.
I struggle with that. And so my friends are like, why don't you like talk your shit? You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, because I feel like it almost comes off as bragging, but I'm the first person to tell people, humble brag.
Yeah.
Tell people what you do. Be proud of who
But you
you
don't
are.
practice it.
I don't. And that's only truly because I'll be very honest, and I've gotten to a point where people are like, what do you do? And it might sound shitty, but I'm like, do you care?
Oh, okay.
And I don't say this all the time. It's certain situations. Yeah. And I'm like, do you really? Because if you do, I will, undo my Rolodex and I will go through all the things that I do. But also, and sometimes they're like, well, I mean, I'm like, if you're just asking just like for conversation, we can talk about something else.
Yeah.
But if you actually care, yes, we can go through it. But then at the same time, when I feel like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to say it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I actually do blah, 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 blah. 9 times out of 10, people are like, oh, well then what I do is nothing. Or like, oh, that's, wow, like, you do a lot, or like, how do you do so much, or why do you do so much, or whatever. And I'm like, because I just do. Why not? You can, if I can do it, you can do it.
But some people just don't want to do it.
Right.
But the first thing they're gonna say is like, oh, I wish I could do it. Do you really wish you could do that?
Yes.
Because if you did, like, we have Diabetes as a Drag coming up. This was my husband's idea. We did Dancing Away Diabetes, or I say he did Dancing Away Diabetes for so long with Zumba. He literally had the idea of, why don't we do Diabetes as a Drag? And then we did it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I'm shameless plug there, but because tickets go on sale this Friday. But this is airing. Yeah. Yes. It'll go on this Friday. But my point is that, like, that's the other thing. Separating. I tell this to my people when I teach you. I'm like, you can't do it like I can, but I can't do it like you.
Yes.
So like, if you really want to do it, go do it. But like 9 times out of 10, as the human race, if we want something, we go do it.
Yes.
I don't know anyone that says like, oh, like I want to go, I don't know, something as simple as like, I want to go to Six Flags. You're going to go. I mean, obviously if you have the funds and financially there, but as a human race, when we want to do something, we do it. There's not one person that you can't convince me that there's anyone in the world that's not going to do something that they want to do. It may take time, but like you're going to do it. You're going to at least feel the urge to. Now, you may have outside entities. You may have some noise that is scaring you away from doing it. But like 9 times out of 10, you're going to attempt to go that way. You know what I mean? And that's what pisses me off when people are like, wow, like, how did you do that? I'm like, because I wanted to do it.
Right. And I have had a lot of people that were like, oh, like, I wish that I could do that. Or like, oh, I could never. Like, well, if you have that mentality, then no, you can't.
Yeah.
But yes, you can.
But like, how bad do you want it?
Right.
Everyone laughs. Like, I'm always anything. I'll be like, we were just walking up here and David had talked about how he submitted an application to be a part of the filming that they have here that they're doing for that show, the Yellowstone show that they're doing.
Yeah.
And I was about to say it, and I don't know what he said, but he was like, "Oh yeah, they wanted me to fill out a profile, but I hadn't done it." And I was about to say like, "Well, you don't want it bad enough," because it's literally what we laugh about it in our friend group. That's my line. Like I'm like, "Well, how bad do you want it?"
Right.
So if you're saying you wanted to and you just haven't done it yet, then you don't want it bad enough. Maybe there's something else you want bad enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you wanted this bad enough because here we are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, and I feel like that's a burden that some of us, not everyone has that. Not everyone has that burden that we have of like, how did you do it? Because that in itself, that question is heavy. And I don't think people realize like when people ask you, how did you do it? Must be nice. Or what all do you do? Oh my God, that's a lot. I wish I could, all those, which are great compliments.
Right.
I'm not shaming people for saying that. It's just that, man, that is the weight. And I'm just realizing that about in this new era that I'm in. I'm like, damn, I carry a lot of weight.
Yes.
Like not just trauma, not all that. I'm talking about the everyday expectation of this person we are and we've created and we've grown into. It's like, damn.
It's a lot.
It is a lot.
I had to stop beating myself up. And this has been very recent of like pulling back to allow myself to process things that are going on in my personal life. And not being like, oh my God, I didn't post today. Oh my God, like I'm gonna lose followers, or seeing some followers fall off and not caring.
Yeah.
Where before that would have upset me, now I'm like, you know what? Like I have to focus on me right now, and if that means me posting twice a week, so be it. Because guess what? This is my like head in the sand stage. But when I come back up, baby,
right.
You know what I mean? Like it's gonna
but we
be
all
like,
need that time.
Right. And so I've had a few people that are like, are you good? And I'm like, I will be.
Yeah.
I'm going to be
Which is cool that they recognize it. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. I don't, but it's true. Like if you want something bad enough, you'll make it happen, right?
Yeah. Like I believe in that so strongly because of the things that I've done.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, for instance, going back to my husband, he's also in the room, so it's very weird. I feel like I'm talking to him like in third person. But like there was a time when I had applied to like, I don't remember which reality shows at the time. And he was like, why do you want to do that so bad? Why do you want to be on reality TV? And it's not that I want to be on reality TV. It's just that, humble brag, I know I can be captivating. I understand that that's my superpower. I understand that when I get in front of a camera or I'm able to speak, I understand that that is what I was built to do. And I'm not going to negate that, but I'm going to use that to my advantage, right? And so at the time, it was the show The Circle on Netflix. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but I made it like far in the first season that I had applied. And then last year, I made it like I was in the final, like I was on Zoom with like Netflix, and it was this really cool experience, right? And I say that to say, because I was like, oh shit, like, is this really gonna happen? Like, I may have to go. At the time, it's filmed in Atlanta there. I was gonna have to leave to Atlanta for like 3 weeks. So I was like, is this my moment? It didn't work out. They didn't end up casting me, but I was like, wow. In that moment, I realized like, this is why I do it, because I was already, fuck The Circle. Like, God forbid I ever get on the show and this comes out. But it was like, I don't care about The Circle. I was like already thinking like, I'm going to get on MTV Challenge. I'm going to go into the show, The Traders. I'm going to create a brand. I don't know if you know who Chris Sapphire is. He was big on the show. He's big in the LGBTQ community in Dallas, but I was already thinking like, this is my moment, because I'm going to say I'm a real estate agent on the show. I'm going to be the most famous real estate agent outside of these real estate shows and move on with my life, right? And create, that was going to be my catapult. But I bring that part up because it's like, when you want something bad enough, whether it be a show, whether it be a restaurant, whether it be health and wellness, whatever it is, there is a way to get there that isn't always the route that Natasha took. You know what I mean? It's not always, if you want to be this big shot realtor, selling sunset is not maybe your route. That's a different realm.
Right.
Maybe a reality show isn't yours, but maybe, I don't know, politics is. There's so many different avenues to get to that final stop. It's just which fits with you and which is going to be that moment. And I think that far too many times for a lot of realtors, they're like, well, how do I do what you did?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't fucking know even how I did it.
Yeah,
I just
you're like,
took
you just
that
do
route
it.
that felt right, similar to what you were saying.
Yeah.
But I think in this day and age, we have so many different avenues to get to those final points. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah. And then I tell people too, like, whenever I do something, like quitting is not an option.
Right.
If I am like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to fucking do it.
Yep.
And I'm going to do it with my whole heart or with like
And not
everything,
half-ass. Yep.
Right. Never. I can't. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I wish I could.
Well,
I'm
now
just
with
like,
your brand, like who you are,
Yeah.
you could never put anything out that's
no.
shit work. You know what I
No,
mean? Like,
no, never. Yeah. That's why he's like, you're such a diva. And I'm like, no, it has to look and sound a certain way. And that's it.
well, I'm walking up, I was like, yeah, I don't know what we're going to talk about. And David's like, well, you're picky, so make sure you tell her because she's going to cut some scenes out and she's going to post
not
them,
gonna
right?
cut shit
Well,
out.
you know what I mean? How you do like reels.
Clips. Yeah.
Clips. And so he's like, so make sure you tell her what you, and I was like, and no offense to you, obviously,
Yeah,
but this is how I am. I'm like, well, if I don't like the clip she used, I'm just not going to share it. But that's the power that we have.
yeah.
And I think far too many times people are like, oh my God, I have to post something. Let me post. And then it's shit post. Or in your instance, right? Let's say a clip comes out and I'm like, oh, I didn't want to promote the podcast with that clip. Oh, I'll wait till she could. There's nothing wrong
Right.
in knowing your lane and what is right for you. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I always use this joke too. Like, Beyonce ain't gonna put a music video out that looks shit. If it's not good, clearly she's done visuals for many albums that never came out because she just didn't like it, or what, for whatever reason, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that also people need to carry that power in their business mindset. Like, if you don't like the way you redo it,
Yeah.
if you don't like the way someone's perceiving you, redo it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I've offended people in the past.
Oh, me
because
too.
I'm like, I don't like the way that I look or I don't like the way that I sound and I'm not going to post that.
Same.
And they're like, really? Oh my God. Like, you look fine. You sound fine. Whatever. Like, okay. I appreciate you complimenting me, but if I don't like it,
like, y'all can use it for y'all stuff.
Yeah. If it's not on brand for me, I will not collaborate and I will like untag myself.
Oh, same. Like, if someone, this is like a big thing, like for me, my logo, if you don't put the logo in it, I'm probably not going to post it. In my videos, my videographer already knows my logo goes at the beginning or the end of the video. And there's a specific logo that goes, don't use my square logo on my video. You got to use those things are, the reason why, there's the Nike check is the Nike check. Like, you know what I mean? You don't ever see unless it's like a specific, you don't just see a big check on the chest unless it's like a special edition, right? You always see it on the pocket. It's written out Nike across the chest. Like, those are things that are intentional to me as well. Like with our logos for the team, for my specific logo for Ruben Realtor, it's just brand, the recognition is going to come if you are consistent and if you have a caliber that you're starting at. Other than that, if not, you just look like a mom and pop and continue to throw things out and it's never consistent. It never looks the way you want it to look. And then you'll never have a brand and people will never trust you and they'll never follow you, and then domino effect, right?
Yeah. And people don't understand that now. I've talked about it before on podcasts and then just in separate conversations with people or private conversations of like, people don't understand that want to come into the content creator world. You don't understand the amount of work that it takes.
Oh, I believe it.
The consistency, the time, it is 24/7. And then that's not including editing, posting, scheduling, like looking at your analytics. Like, what are you trying to do? And also, it's okay to not have a full-blown picture when you're beginning, but at least, like, you know what? I'm going to start with food. Okay, start with food. What do you want it to look like?
Yep.
What's your message? What are you conveying?
Yeah.
Like, what are you trying to do? And then be consistent.
Yep.
Don't keep switching shit up. Grow, learn, make it look better, make it sound
Evolve,
better.
yeah.
Right. But when you start switching shit up like that, people are like, what's going on? Like, what are we doing?
Yep.
But I also had somebody like not like a year ago, but honestly, she was like 17. And I said, look at my page. What do you get from my page? And she was very honest. And she's like, honestly, she's like, it's a little all over the place. She's like, but like, I can tell you do food and lifestyle and whatever. And I sat with her because I'm like, you're the next generation.
Yeah.
what would you consume?
Yeah. What do you want to see?
Right. As a Gen Zer,
Yeah.
right? Because that's my next demographic.
Yeah.
And we sat and we talked about it.
That's so cool.
And I started to do it, and I didn't get the feedback or the what's it called, like the interactions that I wanted.
Yeah, you thought you were gonna get.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think because the audience that I've built is like,
That ain't right. Yeah, like
yeah,
what?
like
Yeah, yeah.
what's happening? Okay, cool. Then I'm gonna not do that.
Right.
So I'm gonna stick to what works for now. And
Until it don't.
yeah.
Until it don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I don't. That's another reason why I don't have a podcast or anything of this sort, because editing is not. I used to have a YouTube channel actually.
Oh.
And during COVID, I don't even know if you know this. I wish I would have known you then. During COVID, I know we've already been talking a while, so I'll make this quick. But I used to have a YouTube channel, and I actually just thought of this because I was cleaning out a closet, and I found all my. My, what do you call it? Like my name on YouTube was Rueben Rambles. Very fitting, right? But I would do these videos, right? Talk It Out Tuesday, and it was every Tuesday, and it was all these things, and then COVID hit. And I was like, my dream is to be on The View. I know I'm not a middle-aged woman, but I would love to be on that show. So it's one of my dreams.
I would love to see you on
God,
that show.
but so I was like, I wanted my own talk show. And then I was like, you know what? I found this software that was online. I can't remember what it's called, but I was able to live stream this talk show that I called Rueben Rambles. And I think I called the segment Talk It Out with Rueben. And every week I think it was 10 weeks long, and I had different guests. And I sent a PR kit out, and I got Mary and Romaine from Selling Sunset.
Nice.
I got who else? I got a producer from the Kelly Clarkson show, because everyone that knows me knows I'm obsessed with Kelly Clarkson.
Yeah.
So I got a producer from her, and it was she was African American. It was during the Black Lives Matter movement. So it was a really cool episode. Chris Sapphire from The Circle, someone from The Voice. Like there's just a bunch of people. And in that moment, I remember I was talking to the producer of the Kelly Clarkson show, and I was like, that's my dream. I want to have my own talk show one day. I knew it in that moment. I like to talk, and why not, right?
Yeah.
I was like, I just want to do it one day. And I was like, I just can't wait till one day do it. And she was like, you're doing it. What do you mean? This is it.
Yeah.
What do you mean you've always wanted to do it? You're doing it.
Yeah.
And I think that was the turning point. And I'll always remember that conversation, because that was the moment I realized, like, just because I'm not on all the channels, and I'm not, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I'm not on national TV, doesn't mean I don't have a talk show. Right. And so then I really was like, all right. And at that moment I knew I can be Rueben, because David would always tell me, like, babe, when you go into the room and you start recording, like you're not yourself. Like you talk weird, like you're not being yourself. And then, so I took all that feedback. And then when I started in real estate, it was over for these bitches, because it was like I was being authentically myself.
Yeah.
When that little red light came on, I was still who I am always, a little amplified, but I was still myself. And then I realized, okay, this is my superpower. This is what I want to do. But anyway, I don't even know how we got onto that, but I used to have a talk show, and it was super fun, but I hated editing. I hated it, which is why I did it live.
Yeah.
I was like, whatever happens, it's live.
So I don't edit this. I don't edit my podcast, but I edit like
all
my
your
Foodie
real.
Friday.
Oh yeah, all that.
And that's the thing too. I'm like, people don't understand. Like that is like days, weeks in advance that I'm like, hey, and I'm working with people. This is what I need. This is what it needs to look like. This is what it's gonna look like, or this is what whatever. Like, please tell your who's my POC.
Yeah.
When I show up, I need them to know like what I'm doing, and it's just a matter of like time.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like let's all save our energy and just. You do your part,
and
I
execute
do my part,
it. Yeah.
Right. And then, I eat the food. I have my shtick. But it's after that is 2 to 3 hours of editing.
Ugh.
Just to post a 2-minute, 3-minute video that thankfully they've been doing well.
Yeah. But sometimes they don't.
But I'm like, ugh. It's a lot. So something that you touched on, and it's something that I struggle with, and maybe you can help me, or
What?
maybe you can help me off camera.
Yeah.
But my best friend always tells me, like, you need to show your personality more, because she's like, you are one of the like goofiest, like funniest, like most down to earth people I know. And she's like, people don't see that. They don't hear that. Like, because you're this like,
you're in a box right now, because you're trying to be a cookie cutter you still have society in your mind, because trust me, I was this way until someone gave me the line that I'm going to give to you in a second. But you're still in the space of like, even though we don't care about what people think, we're going to be us, we still are trying to be like poised and like what we probably somehow was embedded in our subconscious when we were younger. But one thing in real estate, and it has kind of bled into the rest of my world, is I used to be, when I got into real estate, it still kind of is, but it was a very male, masculine energy. There were women, but they didn't come around a lot. I would go to mixers. I would walk into a room of, I mean, it's a new wave of like, I don't know if you know who Mark Anthony is. He's a real estate agent as well. But Mark Anthony, myself, there's other like LGBTQ agents, Cassandra, Jamie Zapata. There are people in our community who are unapologetically themselves. That's new. That's not normal. When I first started, I would really struggle with walking into a huge mixer of realtors, which I don't go to anymore. But when I would go to them, I would immediately like lower my voice and like try to be all cool and bro. And I wouldn't talk because I was like, oh shit, I was so uncomfortable. And I would never post on social media. I would never talk about my husband. I would never talk about anything LGBTQ. I didn't do any pride things. I was so scared. And someone finally told me, because I was afraid that people didn't want to give me their business if they knew I was gay. And someone was like, well, if they don't want to work with you because you're gay, those were never your clients. Like, fuck them. Such an easy line that I'm sure you've been given. But for me, I was like, you're right. I don't want to work with people that don't like my people, whatever my people looks like, right? But that was catapulted me in being like, oh, well, if I don't have to hide anything, then I'm just going to be what I am when I wake up to when I go home, right? But there is a fine line of people are like, oh, you're fake sometimes. I'm like, there's a fine line between being fake and being professional. There's a fine line, but from being fake to being strategic, because those are different things.
Yes.
And I think that right now you're probably being more strategic and reserved because you just haven't not that you don't figure out who you are, but you haven't figured out where exactly you want to plant your foot on who Natasha wants to be in your personality. You know what I mean? And I think it's just a matter of telling yourself like, yeah, truly fuck them. Like if they don't like all of this, because you said it already before, you have the imposter syndrome that I still struggle with, but it also might come with accolades. Like when I got Rookie of the Year a couple years ago, or whenever I got it, I was like, okay, like I'm the best new kid is how I saw it. And then the next year we gave the Rookie of the Year out, and I was like, oh shit, I'm not the rookie anymore. Like I'm kind of tenured. I'm more seasoned. Then I started comparing, not because it's a good thing, but I started comparing agents that have been in the real estate industry for 10 years to my numbers. And although it's not about how much you sell, that for me was important. And I was like, all right, I'm just as good as the guys and the girls that have been doing this for 10, 15 years. So like, excuse my language, but now truly fuck them. Because I don't care what anyone has to say. They used to come after me and tell me that I was the social media realtor, that I didn't know anything about what I was doing. That was circulated a lot of little circles in the real estate industry. I was the new guy that only did real estate, that only did social media, didn't know real estate. Now, I mean, sure, they can say that. They can, so I think it's just a part of the journey that you're probably still on, and especially with personal things that go on, like you put your priority towards certain things instead of your priority here, because some personal matters matter obviously more than any other matter, right? But the only advice I would give you or anyone else that's struggling with that is just like truly, like if your audience is your audience, your people are going to be your people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And once you take that breath, or maybe show up to your podcast the way that you are at home. You know what I mean? Start being comfortable and being like, look, my hair's in a bun. I'm in glasses. You're getting sweats today because this is who Natasha is.
Yeah.
And then you're pulling yourself away from that mold of what Natasha's brand usually looks like. And now probably catching other people's eyes of like, oh, fuck, she is my people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But.
Yeah. Like, it's not that I care. Okay. So I think about like brands that are going to see me.
Yeah.
Like, cause I like went to like Zulala and was like doing the Tina after like a couple glasses of wine.
Yeah.
Don't care.
Yeah.
Right. That's who I am. That's my personality. And my friends over there, like zooming in, like videoing me and fucking laughing around.
Yeah.
That's who I am. And I don't know. I think that's what I struggle with is I don't know that people that follow me are going to be like receptive to that. And do I care? Yes, no. But I also think of like HEB being like, what is she doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like how much of myself do I post regarding that versus just keeping that shit to like me and my inner circle?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, then that's the question of like, for you, it's like, if you see yourself on more of a, let's say, collaborating with a corporation, maybe not, but
Right.
not to say that those odds are slim, but being realistic and saying like, the people that follow you, your circle, your audience, they're your tribe. They're people that are just like you, that probably just get ratchet the same way that you and I do.
Yeah.
So you're almost doing a disservice to them, because like they like you because real recognizes real. Like I recognize people from the South Side immediately because I'm from the South Side.
Yeah.
So the same thing, I recognize that you can get some ratchetness in you, like, and I've never been out with you like that, but I know I know at your core, that's why we vibe.
Yeah.
But like, but I know that this is not a facade, but this is the brand. But at the same time, it's like you're doing a disservice to that audience of, when they know the truth, you're just not letting it out. Why not let it out? And to your point of like, well, like the Gen Z girl, you can try it. If it don't work, you're like, oh, let me pull back on that. Odds are, because it's so authentic, it's going to take you to a whole nother level. The same for me. Yeah. Whenever I started just being me, it was like this world opened up, and it was like all of a sudden I was getting leads out of nowhere, and everyone just felt like they were my best friend, and everyone wanted to use me as their agent. Same with you. I think it's just dabbling in it the same way you dabbled into the aesthetics and how your social media looked. You have nothing to lose. What people are, we're not curing brain science or like cancer here. You're probably going to maybe either be like, oh, maybe that was a little cringy, but it got more views than XYZ, or it got more interaction, or I got more followers because people were saying like, oh shit, she is real. Because right now people are like, I'm sure, because I see you, I'm like, damn, she's pretty. Like, gosh, she's so perfect. Like when we saw you at the bottom for Christy's thing and you were dressed as the Flintstone.
Yes.
I remember David and I was like, oh my God, like she's perfect, which is intimidating for not to me, because I'm not a woman, right? But I'm like, damn, she's hot, But like other people are like, they get there, because in 2024 we are here. People are so scared because the idea of you is so perfect. You know what I mean? So they may want to see that, and it's like, be careful what they wish for, because it might blow up, and you're like, fuck, I'm gonna be at social spot every night or whatever. You know what I mean? But like, I think it's just opening that can of worms, and if it don't work, it don't work, and then you just pull back.
No, I noticed like this one time I kind of did like a social experiment where I was like, oh, fuck it. Like one of our friends came in from out of town, and they were like, hey, meet me at the bar. And it was kind of late. And I was like, well, I'm kind of like, I was in literally like, what's it called? Like wind pants.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
And like freaking tennies. And like I had a jacket. It was cold outside. I was like, yeah, fuck it. Whatever. That was the most free drinks and shots I've ever gotten in my life. Like guys are like, hey, what's up? And I was like, no, thank you. But also, I'll take the drink.
But that's your superpower, because your aura is just your aura. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a vibe. You know what I mean? Like you.
Like people just gravitate towards it.
Right. And so but I was like, what the fuck? And I literally posted on like my Snapchat, and I was like, y'all, like, please explain this to me. And like most of the people that answered were like guys, and they're like, yeah, because you're approachable now. Because when you're
not
out,
unattainable, yeah,
right? And yes, I am, but
but you know what like, especially because like, and I'll make this really quick too. It's like when my really good friend, she's a singer, and I always tell her like, you can't go shake hands and carry babies after every show. Like you have to be a little bit untouchable. But because for so long you were so touchable, you have to start pulling away from that. You did the opposite. You've been unattainable. Probably you're at a stature, not unattainable, but you're at a stature. And you went to that immediately because that's who you strive to be. But now it's maybe like taking those steps back to be like, all right, like I'm one of you. This is what I do, Yeah. And I'll say that the other podcast that you're on with Michael Anthony, your vibe's different on that podcast, because that is more of a shoot the shit podcast.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with this podcast, and there's nothing wrong with that podcast, but your vibes are completely different. And at that podcast, you run respect to Michael Anthony. I just saw him. But you are the energy, but you're also a different, more rough around the edges energy on that show.
Because he picks at me, and so he gives me.
But like that catches people. That's why I say you rule that show, because your energy steps up and it's who you are at your core. Whereas here, you're kind of more poised. Yeah. I've seen a lot of your episodes, and there are episodes you're more laid back. Yeah. Like right now, you're more laid up, but you're still poised. Well, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's because I don't like to have to be in like my BDE.
Yeah.
But I will.
But you should.
And I'll do it quick.
If you're going to be in it at any time, it's right now in this day and age.
Yeah. Well, no, I definitely, like when I walk into a room,
It
be
just
all
comes.
day.
Yeah, it just comes.
But with him, because he like likes to pick at me, I'm like, you're
You're
not
always
gonna
on
do
your
that
guard. Yeah, yeah,
shit,
yeah, yeah.
and I'm gonna talk shit to you.
Yeah.
And then people are like, ooh, she's
Yeah,
spicy.
yeah,
I'm
yeah. But
like,
it's fun. Yeah.
I'm like,
But like maybe a mesh of those energies. Cause I'm telling you, like when I saw that podcast before we were gonna go on it, I was like, wait a minute, who's the host here? Like y'all all hosts,
yeah, yeah,
obviously.
yeah,
You share the responsibility. But
yeah,
I remember being like, oh dang, like that was when I first got a good glimpse of who Natasha was. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Not that you don't get it on this podcast, but this is a
yeah.
different
So I
vibe.
tell people like, if you watch this podcast, you're gonna get a
Oh
pretty
yeah,
good sense of like who I am.
exactly.
But yeah, okay. So before we wrap up, let's
Yes.
talk about your giant event,
Yes. So,
like in detail. Let's go. Let's
okay.
go.
So, Diabetes is a Drag is taking place on Friday, November 8th. It will be from 8:30 to 10:30. Tickets go on sale this Friday. And essentially, what it is, it's for my husband's late father. He passed away due to complications of diabetes. And so we became very close with Christy Waters, who is our host every year. And by now, everyone will already have seen who is performing. So it'll be Christy Waters, Zaire York, Honey Andrews, Natasha Capri, and Naomi Evans. And I think I'm not missing anyone. My husband's on the other side, I think, right? There's how many of them? Who did I miss? Oh, great, from Austin, Diamond Dior. So we have 6 performers, and we always have some tricks up our sleeve. But essentially, what it is this is a fun night out with friends. We sell VIP tables that come with 10 seats and a bottle. Those are $350 a table, and then we have preferred seating, which is on bar stools and high tables, and then we have general admission. But we have a red carpet. We have we have someone there that's gonna probably be dressing their drinks, and we have a full bar, and
Nice.
it's a fun time. This is our 4th year doing it. It'll probably be the biggest year we've ever had. We've had so many people reach out, and it's a great time. By the end of the night, we have a DJ that comes on, so anyone that wants to stay and party afterwards, we're usually there till about midnight or later. It's such a fun time, and every year around this time we're gearing up and getting everything ready. And yeah, you're not gonna want to. I already know what some of the performances look like, and it's gonna be fun.
So where's it gonna be? What time and how do people get tickets?
Yes, so it'll be at the Grand Event Center, which is off of 410 and Ingram area. Tickets will be at Diabetes is a Drag 2024.eventbrite.com, or you can just go to Eventbrite and Google Diabetes is a Drag, or Google it. It'll be on both my social media, which is at Rueben Realtor, and then my husband's, which is David, official David Wayne. Yeah, and you'll see it on all the queens, so they'll all be posting. Yeah, it's from 8:30 to, I say 10:30, 11 with the after party following, but sometimes we run over because it's such a good time. Bring your dollars. What we like to do, although we are raising money for diabetes awareness, it's also important for us that we treat the queens in a way that they don't get treated at the Bonham, the way that they don't get treated at Pegasus or at any of the other bars, because we understand that those are nightclubs, right? We understand that they don't always have. Sometimes they're changing in a small room, so we want to take them out of their element and really give them the world, right? Because we appreciate that they're giving us their time for this event. And we like to just really cater to them. So we like set up a room for them, and we have mirrors for them and snacks and really cater to them, because without them, this wouldn't be a show. And I really emphasize that because I think a lot of times people forget about them. Even though they're there and they're performing, they forget about what happens when they walk off stage. And I'm talking about people forget about them, meaning the attendees. They see them walk off stage and another queen comes and they forgot about them and their attention's here. But we want to make sure that although we're giving an experience to the attendees, we're also catering to the performers, because I think they're overlooked a lot of times.
Yeah, no, I love that.
Yeah.
And it's true.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
And you were friends with a lot of them. You know what I mean? So
yeah. No, I'm super excited. And you'll probably see it on my social media too.
Yay.
Yeah. I'm going to share it no matter what, because I'm all about supporting local and
I'm
good
excited.
causes.
And you're going to come, obviously.
Yeah.
We have some tricks up our sleeve, but yes, you will be there.
Yes, I will be there. Okay. So you gave your social media.
Yes.
And if people want to reach out to you, as far as, do you only do like purchasing homes, or do you
No, yeah. So
too?
my whole team, we do. So we have a team of agents. So we do rentals, apartments, selling, buying land, single residential, commercial. Even we have someone that touches on everything. A lot of people don't realize that you need an agent to buy a new build home, because without an agent, you kind of almost get taken advantage of.
Mm-hmm.
So new builds as well. We kind of cover a lot of tracks when it comes to the full industry, but you can reach out to me on social media. My phone number, 210-771-1834. I'm sure I'll give you my email address. You can put it in the description, but yeah, we kind of cover everything.
Good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for
Thank
being here.
you. It went by
Appreciate it.
fast.
I know. Yeah, it's actually over an hour.
Oh, sorry.
Wow. No, I'm just kidding. David's like, I'm hungry.
Yeah, his stomach's growling.
Yeah. But I really appreciate having you.
Thank you.
And yeah, I can't wait to see everything that you do.
What's next?
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. Whatever it is, it's going to be
Same.
amazing. Yeah. So yeah, thanks guys for watching or for listening. And to, again, Bob Media for Housing Producing and to Latina Podcast Network. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.